Okay, so on today's video, we are going to discuss how are we going to get an input from the user. Okay, and the widget that we are going to use is we have TextField. Okay, so as it is defined, it is a fundamental input widget. So take note here, input widget in Flutter for capturing user text input. Okay, so and here are some of the properties of a text field. So first of all, we have the controller. Okay, so it is of type text editing controller. Okay, this allows us to control the text being displayed and edited in the text field. Okay, so it is the controller that gives us, by its as its name implies, the control over the content of the text field. Okay, so we could read the current value, listen for changes, and also we could programmatically modify the content of the text field by using our controller. Okay, so there are also other properties that we have here, and we are going to have them one by one. So another thing is we have the decoration. Okay, so defines the appearance of the text field. Okay, so we could define here the border, the label text, the hint, and other visual elements. Okay, so we're just going to have first the two, the controller and the decoration. Okay, so how are we going to apply those properties here? Okay, so I have here with our previous video, so I deleted the buttons. Then I have here a text centered, and I just write here a Flutter University, and I want it below to let the user to input his name. Okay, so after the text, I'm going to have here a sized box. Let's say with a height of 10. Okay, then here I'm going to have the text field. Okay, so I have here now the text field, again, to let the user input his name. Okay, so first of all is we have the controller. Okay, so as you can see here, a controller needs a text editing controller. Okay, so what are we going to do here is I'm going to define, I have here the up bar and so on. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to define a variable for our controller. Okay, so take note, it has a type of text editing controller. Okay, text editing controller. Then I'm just going to call it name controller is equal to new text editing controller. Okay, so again, this is now our data type. Then we have the name of the variable, and what we're doing here is actually we are instantiating here a new instance of the text editing controller class. Okay, so I have now defined my controller here. By the way, we have here the underscore as prefix to my variable. So what does this mean? So this means that this variable is actually private, okay, to this class. Okay, so meaning in the convention of Dart, once you are going to have an underscore as prefix for a variable or class or methods, this is automatically private. So meaning outside classes cannot access these variables. Okay, so it is only accessible within this class. Okay, so I have here now my controller. Okay, so I'm just going to have now here my name controller. Okay, so next is we are going to have the decoration. Okay, so in my decoration, I am going to have here an input decoration. Okay, so as our definition before, so we are going to have here, we could define here our label text. Okay, so we have here our label text. Now for my label text, I'm going to use here, so take note, it requires a string. Okay, so on my label text, I'm just going to have here, let's say name. Okay, name. Then I'm going to have the hint or the label hint, a hint text. Okay, then I'm just going to have enter your name. Save. Okay, so we have now three defined the controller and the decoration. We're going to have some more later on. Okay, so I have saved this one. Then I have here reload. So you could see here now our text field. Okay, so as I click on the text field, so as you can see, the label is now on top and the hint is we have here. Okay, so I could now enter any name. Let us say Anthony Davis. Okay, so I could now input anything here on my text field. By the way, I'm just going to have here a little margin, so I'm just going to have, okay, I'm going to wrap my column with padding. Okay, padding, and let us say we are going to have, so all of them is going to have, all sides will have 10. Reload. Okay, so it has now a margin here. Okay, so we could still further improve our text field, the appearance of the text field, by having our border. Okay, for our border, we could have an outline input border with the border side, let us say the width let us say 1, and we can have maybe a color, let us say blue. Okay, okay, we have the border and the border side, and if ever I want to make it a bit circular, so border radius, that circular, let's say 5.0, comma, save, reload. Okay, so we have now our border here. Okay, then we could also set the icon. Okay, I'm just going to have it here. Before the border, I'm going to have the prefix icon. Then it needs an icon, so we're going to have an icon, icons that, let us say, user. Okay, verified user. Then I could change also the color of the icon. Prefix icon color, let us say we have colors that green. Okay, save, then reload, so it's there now. So as I click on the text field, as you can see, the label is now there and the hint is replaced the label here. Okay, so I could now change the name here, so Donald or whatever. Okay, so how are we going to get the content of the text field? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have a button. I'm going to write here a button, elevated button. Okay, on press. So we're going to have here a blank anonymous function and a child of text click me. Reload. Okay, so a bit there. So what I'm going to do here is if ever we are going to click on the button, it is going to display on the snack bar whatever is the name written or inputted by the user. Okay. But I'm going to have here size box. Okay, I brought a space there. So I'm going to have it here on the onPressed method of the button. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a snack bar. Okay, so here our snack bar. Then with the content text. Okay, so here inside our text for our snack bar, I'm going to get whatever data has been inputted by the user in the text field. So as what we have defined a while ago, to get the content of a text field is we are going to use the assign controller for that text field. And what we have here? We have here our name controller. Okay, the name controller is the controller assigned for this text field. Okay, so what is the property now of the controller that contains the input, the text inputted by the user? So we have here the text property. Okay. So we have this. We have now defined our snack bar. The content is the content of whatever is the name inputted by the user. Then we are going to display scaffold messenger that of this context that show snack bar. Then with our snack bar there. Okay, when the button is pressed or tap or click, okay, so we are going to define here a snack bar. The content, whatever is the text inputted by the user on this text field. Okay, then display. Save and reload. Okay, so I'm going to have here James Ben. Okay, so when I click on the user, so you can see it there, the name inputted by the user is now displayed on the snack bar. Okay, so that's how are we going to get the text inputted by our user. Okay, so let us say I'm going to create another text field. Okay, I'm just going to copy the text field. Okay. Then instead that we're going to have the name controller, I'm going to create another controller here. I'm just going to copy, paste. I'm going to have comments controller, okay, because I'm going to create here a comments text field, the second text field, so we have it here, comments controller, then we have here comments okay. So I'm not going to have an icon, circular, okay, save, then reload. So comments. Now what I want is that the user can input or I'm going to create or make this text field bigger than our name here, okay, because I want the user can see at least 3 lines of text on our comments text field. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have on wait later on we have here our maxLines, okay, specifies the number of lines to allow for multi-line input. Okay, so how are we going to apply that here is we are going to have, okay, I'm just going to have it here, we have the maxLines. Okay, let us say I'm going to have 3. Okay, so save, then reload. So as you can see, it is now maximum of 3 lines. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is when the user clicks on the button, I want to display both the name and the comments into our snack bar. Okay, so I'm just going to edit my on pressed here. Okay, so let us say I'm going to say your name is, then, and your comment is, like that. Okay, so I'm going to have your name is the name controller. So what I'm going to do here, so that I'm not going to use the concatenation, is I'm going to use the string interpolation of Flutter. Okay, so I'm just going to have the $, then the curly braces. Okay, and your comment is $ curly braces, then we have the comments controller that text. Save, then reload. Okay, James Bond, then click. So you can see there, your name is James Bond and your comment is, this is my comment. Okay, so with this I now retrieve or extracted the content of both the first text field and the second text field by using now their respective controllers. Okay, so there are still other properties. For example, I want to limit this one to numbers only. Okay, so I could not show you here because if ever we are using here a mobile phone emulator, we could actually change our keyboard there. Okay, so how are we going to change the keyboard? For example, we want to enter only numbers in a certain text field. Okay, so what we're going to do there is we're just going to have the keyboard type. Okay, so we have here our keyboard type and the text input type. Okay, so I'm going to do here is keyboard type. Okay, text input type with, then as you can see here, if you want to have a numbers only, so the keyboard is going to show us only the numbers, the number keyboard only. Okay. So another thing is, if you want some decimal, so we have here that number with options. Okay. Then we have here decimal boolean. So just set it to true. Okay. But I could not show you here it is because this is again the keyboard type can only be visible with our mobile emulator. And since I am not using here a mobile emulator, so I could not show you it here. But in your case, you could try with your phone, or if ever your device can run the emulator, the Android emulator, so you could see there what is the effect of the keyboard type. Okay. Okay, so that's how are we going to use a text field. Okay, and we are in our coming videos we are going to have some more exercises on how are we going to create and use the data inputted by our user by using our text field. Okay, so that's all for today, and I'll see you on the next video.